And welcome back to another great episode of hashtag Screw the W2. And as always, I bring on interesting guests that I've networked with where they held a quote safe and secure W2 job at one point, but then went on to, start their own business, be an investor, whatever the case may be. And I got a great guest, Jason Valera with Lark Capital. Jason, thank you for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me, John. I really appreciate it. I'm excited to have this conversation. I think it's something a lot of people think about. So
Yeah,
it's a
absolutely.
good topic to delve into.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I've been in that, and I've, like I said, now worked with numerous other entrepreneurs, and I think once people kind of get to the point of, yeah, I think my boss has too much control over my life, I think it's time to get control back in
Yeah.
my life. So, but
Yeah.
maybe taking a step
Absolutely.
back,
Absolutely.
yeah, maybe taking a step back, Jason, can you kind of rewind back to, what was your previous W2 job? What was like an average day, or was there an average, day in the previous W2 world you had?
Sure. So my W-2 job, I still am a veterinary surgeon. I guess that's not something that goes away specifically. But in terms of what the average day looks like, one of the things I enjoyed about it was there isn't sort of a standard day, but
Sure.
generally you're either seeing appointments or you're doing surgery, right? Those are
Hmm.
kind of the two most where most of the day is spent. I very, very much enjoy doing surgery. I don't very much enjoy seeing appointments.
Yeah.
I understand it's a necessary part of, kind of really any medical professional's job is getting the having the clients understand what they're what's happened basically. And
Right.
so I realize it's an important part of it, but I just much more enjoyed surgery. And so, typical day would either I'm in appointments all day long, or I'm doing sort of a half and half situation where I'll see appointments in the morning and do surgeries in the afternoon.
Okay.
Um, so it's just kind of coordinating all of that. Also, as a surgeon, we do a fair bit of on call. So
Okay.
your standard day doesn't necessarily end when it's not a 9 to 5 job. I guess let's put it
Right.
that way.
Yeah, I could have a abnormal day from 9 to 2 of twiddling your thumbs, and then 2:30 it's an emergency
That's
surgery or something
that's
like that.
exactly what it is. Yeah, there were unfortunately not a few number of days where I had very little to do during the day and then got to stay up all night because there were surgeries that
Yeah.
were emergent. So it's a necessary evil, right? They're emergency surgeries for a reason. But yeah,
Right.
it can it can be hard on you as you get older, for
Yep,
sure.
exactly. So, all right. Now, kind of going and maybe you can elaborate or, tell us how long you were a surgeon or how long you were, full time in the field. But what was your maybe like, I got to get out of here moment, I got to do something different, or what was kind of the turning point where, I still want to be a surgeon, but I want to do this for my whole life?
Right, right. Yeah. So I've been a surgeon, I guess technically since 2008, although the 3 years leading up to that was training to be a surgeon. So
Okay.
realistically, that's been about all I've done since 2005, or had been. And the sort of the reason for kind of to veterinary, and this may be all medical professional, I don't know, working in that setting, and maybe other industries too, but working in that setting, working for someone else is very inefficient.
Mm,
In the sense that even if I had, a busy day, there's a lot of downtime for me because I'm completely dependent on the staff.
yeah.
So, and when you work for someone else, you don't hire that staff, right? So whether they're excellent staff or they're not, they're less than
Yeah.
excellent, or there's just not enough of them, right? There's
Hmm.
essentially the two problems, and I really do think this could probably apply to any industry, but it was it just kept feeling more and more inefficient to me, in that I
Yeah.
was spending a lot of time away from my family. And this is really where my mindset started to change, is when my son was born 3.5 years ago. I didn't want to be away this much, right? I still love doing surgery, but I love being around my kids more than that. So
Sure.
it was really starting to feel that inefficiency and feel how, okay, I spent, 8, 10 hours, whatever it was at work today, but I
Hmm.
only actually worked for like 3, right? Because that's how, like, surgery doesn't take me a long time. I've been doing it
Right.
for a while. So it's just, it was way too much downtime where I wasn't able to be around them. So that's
Hmm.
probably the main um, reason why I didn't want to do that, at least not for someone else anymore.
Sure. No. Well, and I think at least I imagine it was kind of almost in limbo where, like you say, you're at work per se, but you're not really working, but you can't leave work to spend time with your family because, like, well, no, I have to be here in case a consult, surgery, or something
Right.
comes up.
Right, right. And that's exactly it. It's just, sort of the clinics that you work for want that availability. They want,
Yep.
they want 7 day a week coverage. They
Yep.
want, you're there, they want people in the building for 10 or 12 hours a day and still to be on call. And I get it, but it just felt increasingly more and more inefficient, which
Yep.
was increasingly more and more frustrating to me. That's really what it came down to, is I just realized, hey, there's a lot of better ways for me to be using my time.
Right. No, makes sense. So now, when you started to have that feeling, and like you said, your son was born 3.5 years ago, were there any specific steps you took to, get out of the rat race, or was there kind of a, timeline you had, like, okay, this is what I want to do. How do I get there? Or, what was that part of the journey like?
Gosh, I wish I had some, sort of tactical advice to give people on this, but really I think it's going to be individual to every person. When I left my W-2, which was end of May, I I didn't have that in my head, like that was going to be the time. I didn't set a clock like I'm going to be out of my job, my W-2 by the time I get to such and such a date.
Okay.
I wasn't even sure that that was going to happen, but when I started to realize these inefficiencies, I also started to look. That's when I really started to get serious into investing and into real estate. And basically, that grew. My real estate business grew. I also have a mobile veterinary surgery business that
Oh,
I own. And so basically, I was working 3 jobs and I ran out of time.
yeah.
Essentially, it was just, it got to be too much. And so I don't know that I necessarily would have, set that date as the time, but I had just got to the point where things were growing and I had to make a decision as to what direction I wanted to go in. So that was it. I didn't do Again, I wish I had something tactical to say to
No,
people.
no worries.
I didn't do anything specific to prepare for that.
Okay.
Uh, that's not to say it wasn't scary and isn't still scary, right? It's been 5 months for me now, I guess. Yeah. Coming up on that. It it's a big change because I think, most of us go through our whole lives being told what to do, I guess, right? You
Yep.
go to school, you go to college, you go to, if as for myself, I went to veterinary school after that, then you have 4 additional years of training to be a surgeon, then you work for someone and they tell you what to do. So it's just,
Yep.
you have this, life of ingraining into you that someone will tell you where to be and when to be there.
Yep.
When you put it that way, it sounds terrible, right? When you
Right.
when you talk about it as if like this is what we all do. Um, but when you're faced with the reality of that's no longer the case and you have to figure it out, it's
Hmm.
actually a little bit scary and daunting, but also like freeing and amazing at the same time. So yeah, it's certainly a bag of mixed emotions.
Sure. Yeah. So, and then as we're recording this here on October 2022, though, so that was May that you decided to leave. I'm guessing you had like
Yes,
a
May 28th was my last full-time day
okay,
as a
perfect.
W-2 employee.
All right. Sounds good. So then with obviously you had your rentals, your mobile I don't know if it has a business name behind it, a mobile veterinary
Mhm.
clinic or
Yep. Yeah,
so.
we don't. Most people think you're driving around in a van and doing surgery. What I'm doing is driving to like your family veterinary's practice and doing surgery in their clinic. So
Oh,
rather than
okay.
you going to a specialty clinic, I'm sort of almost like meeting clients there in a way.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, I suppose actually that kind of also kind of brings back more of the efficiency, like you were talking about. It's like instead of waiting here at my job for 8 hours for an
Right.
appointment that may or may not show up. I can just drive. Oh, so and so needs a surgery this afternoon. Sure, I'll drive,
Right.
wherever. So,
Right. If I have a surgery, I go do a surgery, and when I'm done, I'm done. Right. I don't
yep.
have to sit there and wait around
Right.
and like wait for someone else to tell me what to do. So yeah, it's definitely a increased efficiency in the day.
All right. Sounds good. So then kind of looking back into your W-2, obviously there's, you mentioned some of the things that, you didn't like, but is there anything you do regret or maybe you miss about the W-2 life versus what you're doing now?
Yeah, not I mean not no regret.
Okay.
I think there's a probably things I miss. I miss the people I worked with. Right. I didn't leave because I didn't like who I worked with. It wasn't like I
Sure.
was in this situation where I'm like, this is terrible. I hate everyone around me. That, which
Right.
I think some people are in that scenario, and that's
Yep.
another reason for it. But for me, I generally enjoyed the people I worked with. I also trained residents, so people training to be surgeons, and I miss that for sure. That's probably my biggest miss.
Oh,
And
okay.
I think the other thing that I would say, that this is maybe a piece of tactical advice, is that I make dramatically less money now than I did in May.
All
Right.
right.
It's a big difference in
Sure.
and so you need to be prepared for that if you don't, because like real estate, as a real estate investor in the beginning, you're not actually making that much money. You look at the people that are, 5-10 years down the road, they're making a
Right.
lot of money, and someday we'll get there. But in the beginning, you're not making that much money. So you need to be prepared for the change in income that can be pretty, I mean, depends on what you were making before, right? But you
Sure.
need to be prepared for that change in income, whether that means you're finding other ways to make money, or you're cutting expenses. You just have to, and you probably want to, put together a little bit of a savings heading into
Yep.
something like that, if someone else is thinking about this process. So I mean, that's the stuff I would say I would take home, so I can at least give some some actionable advice, other than, I just did it.
Yep.
um but yeah, I mean, I did, once I realized it was going to happen, I definitely did start to look closer at, kind of savings, and what we were going to do if things didn't go well, kind of thing.
Okay. So that makes sense. So now maybe we'll kind of jump ahead here a little bit. Obviously, you have your own business as well as your real estate and also run a podcast as well. Going into 2023 here, are there any new projects that you're going into or anything you're excited about with the upcoming year in 2023 or even beyond?
Yeah, this year's been really weird in real estate, because
Mm.
it's been such a dramatic market shift that we've experienced over the last few months. And so I think one thing I'm excited about is I feel there's, without a doubt, it's going to create some opportunities, right?
Yeah,
Every recession creates opportunity. You just have to be able to take advantage of it. So I think that's something that, in terms of focus for me right now, even through the end of this year and into 2023, is to position myself to be able to take advantage of those opportunities as they come available. I'm trying to establish systems, create or establish systems, and then do as much networking as I can. Try to get out there, and
hmm,
strategic partnerships is probably the best way to put it. Just meeting
okay.
as many people as I can, that I think, if we got in a position where, like, hey, here's this deal,
Yep.
I want to know I've got people that we can just kind of quickly put together, and go ahead and take it down if it's a good opportunity.
Right. No, it makes sense. Yeah, I think a lot of people are out there and I myself think there's going to be a lot of deals. Hopefully in 2023, I do think there will be a little bit of a backup into 2024, but
Agreed.
it's usually
Agreed.
money, expertise,
Yep.
time, management, and I don't think any one person can, fulfill all those at one time. So putting together a team that can take down a deal like that, I think is the best thing to do.
Yeah, 100% agree. I think there's gonna be opportunity. You're probably right in terms of the timing. It might be more. It might not even be the first half of 2023. There's a lot of factors in play. One being that sellers have had, sort of a Christmas every day for the last few years of how
Yep.
much money they're making, and so I think that people are going to have to adjust their expectations on what they're selling, but
Yep.
then some loans are going to come due. There's just going to be scenarios where people have to get out, and I don't wish that on people. And I think
Right.
depending on the timing of when they get in, they may still make a lot of money. They just might not make as much as they would have a year ago, right? It's
Yep.
just so yeah, all of that has to kind of come together. We have to sort of really see how these markets shake out, how these interest rates continue to go up and up and up. We need to see what, the debt market is starting to get a lot more conservative and in
Yep.
some cases unavailable. So there's a lot of factors at play, and so it'll be interesting to see what happens. But like I said, I think interesting in a good way, meaning there will be opportunities.
Yeah, no, definitely agree. Maybe just one final thing, Jason. I kind of shuffled my order here a little bit on the questions, but you had mentioned obviously you left your job. There's a big decrease in income where, I'm sure some people be like, well, I can't, afford a decrease in income. I guess I'll just
Mhm.
stay at this job. But maybe just taking a step back and going on the other side of that coin, what's been maybe the best thing or the thing you enjoy most having left your W-2 job, or what's been the best part of your journey in the last 5 months here?
That's easy. It's time freedom.
All right.
Time freedom. And I have realized that I will take that over money every day of the week.
All right.
The
So
fact that we can finish recording and I can walk in and play with my kids,
now sounds
right?
good. Yeah.
That's it. That's it. It's freedom. It's freedom. The money will come. The
Yep.
money will come. You have to believe that. It's not, no investment strategy should be considered a get rich quick scheme. It should, whether it's real estate or anything else, right? It's over time. And so, yes, you have to keep yourself afloat, but you're going to have to, in ways probably make some sacrifices. Like if you really want to do this, you want to take this step, you're going to have to make some sacrifices on the spending side. You're going to have to make some strategic decisions on the income side,
Sure.
and get real familiar with your own finances, and how
Yep.
how that's going to look, not just right now, but for the next year or 2 years or however long it's going to take to really get to that place where at some point the real estate will pay our bills. And I know that it's just going to
Yep.
take a minute.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I can't remember the exact quote, but I remember someone said, if you lose money, you can easily make that back. But if you lose time, you're never going to get that time back. I mean,
That's
we
right.
all have a
Right.
finite amount of time. We can always get more money, but can't get more time.
Yeah. Right. We're not good. My kids grow. I grow older every day. My kids grow up every day. Like it's not. We're not going backwards. There's no time machine. So it is truly like that's the easiest of any of these questions to answer, John. Is it's the freedom. It's the
Yeah.
freedom to do what I want when I want.
Makes sense. So, all right. Well, as we wrap this up, Jason, if anyone interested or has been listening to your story and maybe wants to check out your podcast or what other projects you're working on now and in the future, what's the best way to reach out to you?
They can probably, they can email me. It's jason@larkcapital.com. The
Okay.
website is larkcapital.com. In terms of social media, I'm most active on Instagram. It's at
Okay.
Lark Capital. So you can also just search Jason Ballara and that'll pop up. Also my personal one, but really I pretty much just use the Lark Capital one. Um, but yeah, those are probably the easiest
Okay.
ways. I'm happy to chat with anybody who's interested.
Sounds good. All right. Well, I appreciate your time coming on my show, Jason. It's been a pleasure, and thanks for passing on the nuggets, especially the time freedom. That's I can relate to of wanting to leave my W-2 of just having more freedom of time. And now that I'm a father as well, spending time with my son. And
Yeah,
so with that, I'll let you go back to going to play with your kids.
awesome. Thanks a lot, John. Thanks for having me on.
All right. Thanks, Jason.